Hey guys, how's it going? Um, as you can see, we got fucking high definition camera. That's right. So, 1080p now, so we actually have better quality. The mic still there. Yes, I still have the headphones, but we're working on it. Um, Welcome to the dog days of summer. Where when it comes to Toronto, when it comes to sports in general, since the World Cup's over, really all there is to watch, excuse me, really all that there is to watch is, excuse me again, all that there is to watch is baseball. That's right, baseball. And watching the Toronto Blue Jays, well, I guess you could say that it's not looking so good, and it's not looking good for the rest of the year. We are 2 weeks away from the trade deadline in baseball, and when it comes to the Toronto Blue Jays, they need to sell. There's pieces on the team that you can sell, like expiring contracts. They're not buyers. They should not be considered as buyers. They would be fools if they think that they can make the playoffs this year. They would be fools. This is not last year. This is not 2015. That 2015 team was a team that was 500, and they knew that they need to make changes because they had a window. That team last year had a year in like none other. They were not going to be like that this year. They were a year older. A lot of this team is older, not younger. And also injuries doesn't help matters in that there's guys on the team that you'd love to have, but injuries just haven't gone the way of the Blue Jays. Like I originally said before the start of the year, Addison Barger was going to be a big piece. It was going to be a good piece for this team. He hasn't played much because of injuries. Um, them getting Jesus Sanchez, I didn't really like that deal only because of he wasn't good against a certain like side. I think it was he wasn't good against righties, but he was good against lefties. There wasn't many lefty pitchers in baseball, but because of injuries, he was an everyday guy, which he's not an everyday guy. Um, and now it's gotten to a point where just like tonight's game, I didn't watch the whole game tonight. I watched the fifth inning. Two more errors, more defense. Like there was more other defensive miscues. Um, Last night's game, defensive miscues, errors. It's almost like the starting pitching has to be absolutely perfect every game. One, because the offense is bad. Like the offense can't score any runs whatsoever. There's no offense on that team. And because of that, the pitching has to be absolutely perfect, and it can't be every night. Now, does that mean, oh, I'll get to that. By the way, two people watching this, thank you very much. Um, I'll get to Vlad because tonight he was very frustrated, and it's starting to get to him. But you're not gonna get rid of him. He's on his second year he's actually on the first year. First or second year of a 13-year deal. And if you guys watch Sid 60, he has his own uh podcast now. And it's live every weekday. He brought up a good point the other day. Vlad might need to go away from John Schneider. So pretty much like fire John Schneider to where bring someone new into it. It was almost like what Craig Berube was when he was a coach when he was coaching Toronto last year. With Austin Matthews not doing so well offensively, Craig Berube was not doing well as a coach. And losing. Losing didn't help matters. That's what's happening right now with the Jays. With Roddy not doing well offensively, and this team's not doing well offensively, period. Like, I actually got mad today. Like, I'm watching that first inning. Tampa Bay puts up 3 runs in the first inning. Toronto comes back in that first inning, gets the bases loaded with 1 out. Dalton Varsho comes up, and as he's done a lot, pop up in the infield. Pop up in the infield on a high fastball. And then Okamoto comes up and swings and misses at a pitch way out of zone. My mom was downstairs. She's a big Blue Jays fan. She ended up coming upstairs for a few innings. No, of course not. You can't do that in that situation. It's a automatic on it is a uh infield fly rule. You can't do that in that situation. And then Okamoto strikes out on a pitch that's like 5 inches out of the zone. My mom's downstairs and hears me scream, "What the fuck are you swinging at? You're..." It's been the story of the offense this year. I can't blame the pitching because the offense is making the pitching try to be perfect. Like nothing surrendered. Like, I can't blame the pitching, but I kind of can blame the pitching, but not really. So Mason Fruharty ended up coming in for Kevin Gossman, and this was Mason Fruharty. Oh no, they starting. No, pitching. You can't blame the pitching this year. The pitching's been way overworked. Oh, Gossman's gone. He's on an expiring deal. He's gone. He has to be gone. This Jays team needs to sell. And because of that, the first thing you need to look at is expiring deals. Gosman's got an expiring deal. Springer's got an expiring deal, but I don't think you trying to sell Springer, especially the year that he's had this year, it's not going to happen unless you take on salary. And Dalton Varsho needs to go as well. That deal still haunts the Jays, especially the fact that Dalton Varsho, you honestly, I'll still say this at the time. Oh, Springer is Springer's up there. Springer's up there. Gosman's up there. Varsho's 31, I believe. They're all. That's the things that a lot of the pers on like a lot of the star pers that they think that they can that are big for them. They're old. They're up there in age. They are like if you look at their pitching, like if you look at their starting pitching as well, they're up there in age as well. Um, like now, obviously, you're not going to get rid of Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease has been fantastic. His last start was his last start before the All-Star break was a no-hitter. His previous start was pretty good as well. He's going to get Cy Young votes this year, Dylan Cease. But besides him and Trey Savage, you don't really have anybody right now to build a starting rotation. Like they're thinking about doing Spencer Miles next year as a starting pitcher, which I agree with. I think he's been pretty good. But the thing is, next year there might not be a next year when it comes to baseball. MLBPA and the MLB, so the Players Association and the owners are are pretty much at a stalemate. Like the owners want a cap, which there are certain things with a cap that I agree with, but then there's certain things that I don't agree with. I think that there needs to be a floor that teams need to spend to. If you look at stats, so the owners want a cap, and that cap, there's only 6 teams above that cap, and then there's obviously 4. There's 13 teams below the 4. They want more balance. To me, to be more balanced is that you got to ask for players to, well, not players, but you got to ask those teams that spend very. Oh, so the NFL is now pretty much like America's game more than baseball because they've done a better job marketing football than they have baseball. Baseball is not as watched as it used to be. A lot of areas don't watch baseball because one, ticket prices. There's a lot of owners in baseball that care more about making money than making their team competitive. And that's the problem that's the biggest problem with the MLB. And The Players Association is trying to make it where they're trying to make it more for the fans. I'm on the side of the Players Association on most of the things. They're trying to make more jobs, and it's just like the economy. You need more jobs. I think MLB does need to expand. There's a lot of other places that the Players I get that they are trying, but I mean, you look at football and you look at actually look at the FIFA World Cup. Look at the World Cup. More people were watching the World Cup than they were baseball. Easily, obviously, because it's international competition. I might actually touch on that a little bit because there's a certain guy right now that a lot of people don't like, and I actually found a funny situation where that's another topic. Right now, I'm going to talk about baseball. Baseball's trying to, but there's just too many old men in baseball. Like there's just too many old men in the upper department of baseball when it comes to marketing. Like they're like, oh, it's for the newer generation. Yet you have too many of the older, like way older generation, kind of ruining the game with their takes. Like you still have the older guys, like way older. Like we're talking like guys from the 80s and 70s. Oh, by the way, this is Jack and this is Jack. Um, there's so many. The changes that they made have improved baseball, except one. It, the biggest change has been the speed of the game. It's been a lot faster in some cases. There are still games that will go way beyond 3 hours. But there was one game actually it was Sunday's game. This past Sunday's game was just like it was 2 hours and 15 minutes, which is perfect. That's perfect. That's what you want in any kind of sports. Any kind of sports you want really like under 3 hours. And that's what baseball did a good job with. Now, the biggest dislike that I have with baseball is when they go to extra innings and they have that runner on second base. That to me, a lot of the time, is almost like, hey, here's a guaranteed run. Because all you really have to do, like, hopefully it works, is move the runner from second to third, and then get the ball in the outfield. Or unless you're Tampa Bay Rays, you have Chandler Simpson on base, and he's the fastest man alive, and you can easily get him in everywhere. Like easily get him in. It happened a lot tonight. Like Chandler Simpson, I swear to God, worst hitter in baseball. But he's so fast. He is so fast for the Rays that he can get on base anyway. A routine ground ball. A routine ground ball, but he's so fast he gets the first easily. That's just how he is, and that's just how the Tampa Bay Rays play. They play small ball. They don't play. trying to hit the ball at the ballpark, yet, well, every team hits homers. Every team does. But they're more analytically driven, and you can see it. They're not a team that's going to strike you out a lot, anything like that. Like if you watch last night's game, Nick Martinez, literally every batter he faced, he just tried to get contact. Just every guy he faced tried to get contact. Just try to get contact. But that's just how baseball has become. Is there's three true outcomes: walk, strikeout, or homer. That's how baseball is. But but there's teams that are trying to change that. And there's a very good trend. Okay, so y- I was saying that the teams that don't spend a lot will need to spend a lot if they need to get to. I didn't realize. Oh, when I turned it off, it was 8-0 in the fifth inning. It was 8-0. In the top of the first, it was 3-0. And the Jays had bases loaded with one out. Yeah, yeah, it was 12-2. And the Jays offense has had opportunities with pointers in scoring position this year. They are the worst ranked offense in the league when it comes to scoring runs. They're the worst ranked offense in the league when it comes to when it comes to the bases loaded, anybody in scoring position. They're just the worst offense overall. When last year they were one of the best offenses in the league. Now last year they didn't have as many injuries compared to this year. Now I'm not making the excuse of injuries and whatnot, but it's a difference when you have guys coming in and out of your lineup like very frequently. Like there are guys that have been very underwhelming. Like you have like George Springer's very, very unwatchable now. George Springer, Vlad Guerrero Jr. There's pretty much this whole team is unwatchable. And you gotta feel bad for the pitching. But I'll bring it back again to John Snyder and overworking his bullpen. Like Mason Fuhardy is not a guy that you have appearing in 52 games in a year. Like giving a leash to Jeff Hoffman, that was so long until not John Schneider. Remember this, John Schneider was not the one. I'm giving okay, I'll answer that in a second. John Snyder was not the one that said Jeff Hoffman is not the closer anymore. The general manager was the one that said Jeff Hoffman is not the closer anymore. Now Alejandro Kirk, I'm giving him a little bit of a pass because, like, okay, a lot of catchers aren't the best hitters, and I've said this. So back to the Dalton Varsho trade. I thought that you could have easily traded Alejandro Kirk. You had three catchers. You had Gabriel Moreno, you had Danny Jansen, and you had Alejandro Kirk. Gabriel Moreno was a young prospect. He was very good defensively, and you could easily work with his bat. You gave up on him early. Now, yes, in Arizona, he hasn't been great, but defensively, like he's good. The back can still get there. Like he's still relatively young. Alejandro Kirk, I think you could have traded him for Dalton Varsho, and you probably would have been fine. It's just like time and like it's just been a few times where you look back on trades and you go, why did we trade why did we trade this guy for this guy? Like especially when the Arizona Diamondbacks after that trade that year go to the World Series. That's the part that stings. Is that you go to the World is that team goes to the World Series after trading probably one of your best players. And it was an overpay for Dalton Varsho. You could have traded Alejandro Kirk. I think honestly, you probably could have traded Alejandro Kirk straight up for Varsho. But you made an overpayment. You trade away a young catcher and Lourdes Gurriel Jr., who was a key part of that Arizona team. Not so much now because of injuries, which happens a lot in baseball. Like, I mean, there are some injuries in baseball that are, you go, okay, like, you could play through that. Then there's some that are like Alejandro Kirk's broken thumb. You can't really play through that because you need your thumb. Like, the thumb's the biggest thing when it comes to your hand. And it will always still bother me that you overpaid for a guy who, yes, is good defensively, but for a bat that is not good. He's got power, but for a guy with power to have a batting average of like barely over 200 in baseball, that was just too much. That was just way too much of an overpayment. And did they really need Dalton? Like, I'm gonna point to Ross Atkins. Your team that you built made it to the World Series last year. Yes, they were good defensively and they were good hitting. But did you really think that they could do it again? Like, your job was safe because of that World Series. Like, there were. That was the door. They were a good hitting team last year, but I almost felt like that was luck. Like there was a lot of luck when it came to that team. And you can see it this year. You could see the luck that the Jays had last year when it came to hitting. It's not there this year. And there are expiring deals that need to go. Gosman still, I mean, besides tonight's start, wasn't that good. Now about the whole catching situation, you got lucky in the Brandon Valenzuela field, but just don't make the same mistake twice. Now, Alejandro Kirk, you could probably trade him. I I don't think he framing, like I was watching tonight. Framing pitchers isn't the biggest thing in the game, right, anymore because of automatic ball strike, and that's the reason why they kept Kirk, is because he was very good with framing pitchers. Like he was a good, he can hit, but the thing with catchers is that when is the catcher your best hitter? Like when is he batting top, like in top of your lineup? Not very much. Like I mean, you saw, so Cal Raleigh hit 60 home runs last year for Seattle. He hasn't done very well this year. He has not done well at all this year. So catchers aren't usually that great of hitters. There isn't that one true great hitting catcher. There's usually a tier list of catchers. There's good defensively, okay offensively. That's most of the that's that middle tier, which is mostly filled. And then you have like the backup catchers or the very bad starting catchers on teams. Those teams usually don't make the playoffs. And right now, really ever since Alejandro Kirk has come back, he's split starts with Brandon Valenzuela. And who's been the better of the two? I feel like it's been Valenzuela over Kirk. Valenzuela has been the better of the two. Anyways, let's talk about something else because there's something else I need to get off my chest. Rogers. Rogers pretty much. Rogers just bought out. Just bought the rest of MOSC. So they now pretty much own a monopoly when it comes to sports in Toronto. How much success has Rogers really had in Toronto? Like there was the Raptors championship, but that was mostly won by Larry Tannenbaum, who's not there anymore. Has Rogers really had success ever since becoming majority owners? No, exactly. They made it to the World Series. That was it. Hockey. I could spend a whole nother stream talking about just hockey in general, and that'd be like 3 or 4 hours of Rogers hockey because it's not just Sportsnet. It's not just like the Leafs. It's also like sport like Rogers hockey deal in Canada. CBC not having Hockey Night in Canada anymore. Like it's that's a whole different. That's a whole nother subject. Rogers just hasn't really had success, and that's because the rest of the MOSC is they've told one guy to run all of MOSC. You can't do that because it's too much. There's too many sports to run. Now, also, not in hockey. That's um, Maury's won the Calder Cup in the AHL. So let's not forget about that. They're owned by MOSC too, which is Rogers. Now, I'm going to say this right now. In about a year's time, there's going to be no more MOSC. There's going to be no Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. Rogers owns that. Rogers owns Blue Jays baseball. There's none of that. It's going to be just Rogers. Rogers owns all of hockey in Canada when it comes to TV rights. Rogers owns the Reefs. Rogers owns the Raptors. Rogers owns the Argos. Rogers owns TFC. Rogers owns Maris. Rogers owns the Blue Jays. Rogers owns pretty much everything when it comes to sports in Toronto. Except one thing. That's behind me. Technically, they're not in Toronto. They're in Hamilton. But they're still called Toronto Rock Lacrosse. Rogers does not have their filthy fingers on that situation. Because that's owned by an individual owner that knows what he's doing. Now, yes, Rock Lacrosse has always been individual owners. They were never involved in MOSC or Rogers. Never. They played out Air Canada Center with a different owner, with an individual owner. They played out in Maple Leaf Gardens. And yes, I call it Air Canada Center. It should still be Air Canada Center. Not Scotiabank Arena. Which Rogers has also kind of dignified that too. Air Canada Center. They played out in Maple Leaf Gardens. Hell, because of Hamilton renovating the entire Cops Coliseum, the TD Coliseum. They played out in Mississauga, which was the worst choice. That was a horrible arena for the 1 year. Like, horrible. My parents were season ticket holders, and I went to a few games. I did not like that arena. The Hershey Center, which is, that's actually a funny story. So, they were called Paramount Fine Foods, the Paramount Fine Foods Center. They're not called that anymore because they were way behind on payments. So now they're called something else. That arena was shit. It had like 5 food concession stand areas and very little like drink areas. It was not the greatest. It was not the greatest area. It's perfect for like OHL, like kid friendly things. Lacrosse is kind of kid friendly, but if you're a hardcore fan of lacrosse, you'll love it. You'll love TD Coliseum. But a lot of fans will remember Cops Coliseum. Like before TD. Will remember that arena. Because that arena was fantastic. But of course, when you're trying to attract like other teams, like next year there's going to be an AHL team in Hamilton. That is the New York Islanders affiliate called the Hamilton Hammers, which eh, not that great of a name. Like you could have done better, but anyways, the only real team when it comes to success right now in Toronto, when it comes to this past century right now in Toronto. Oh, I haven't seen the jerseys for the Hamilton Hammers yet. Should I maybe look at them? Okay, my phone is actually outside, so just give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay, Hamilton Hammers. Right? Hamilton Hammers jersey. No, no. Oh, oh. Oh, okay, so it seems like they just copied their own NHL jerseys and just frosted the Hamilton Hammers logo on it. It's ugh. Like okay, I get the name Hamilton Hammers because Hamilton's a hardworking like steel city. You could have gone something better. Like you don't have to have the same colors as your NHL team. You don't have to. There are teams in the AHL that don't have the same colors as their NHL team. Look at freaking Carolina. Carolina's affiliate, Chicago, the Chicago Wolves. They haven't had. They've had their own. They have their own color scheme. Like Hamilton. Hamilton can. Like you can come up better names than the Hamilton Hammers. Like I know you can't. You couldn't go back to the Bulldogs. Sure, get back, Neil. That would have been a problem because uh Brantford Bulldogs already have that, which is the OHL. Um, the only way that would work is if it wasn't Hammers. Now I'm trying to see if they had any other choices. Okay, so what do we got here? So they did. The only one that may have made sense. So they had three names trademarked. Hamilton Steamers. So they did have three names trademarked. They had the Hamilton Hammers, Hamilton Havoc, and the Hamilton Mustangs. Okay, Havoc just doesn't make sense. I okay, so what? Did they want to go like oh, let's have the double H, like Hamilton Hammers, because it matches. Like it, Hamil- Hamilton Havoc, I don't like that one. I don't mind Hamilton Mustangs, but God, there could have been way more. Someone said, hammers all the way, give me a hammerhead shark mascot. It will not be a hammerhead shark mascot. It will not be a hammerhead shark. Havoc is in rain, feels like an EA Sports creative team. Hammers would be cool and unique. I'm reading this off of Reddit. Uh, do it. Bring us the Mustangs. Sure, that brings up memories. As long as they keep the Owls cover away, I really don't care. Was hoping to keep Tigers in the name. Okay, you could do that. So there was an old NHL. So this is like okay. So Hamilton at one point did have an NHL. Well, they did have an NHL team. They did for a year. They had an NHL team called the Hamilton Tigers. They had the Streetsville logo would be nasty. What? Jack, I do know like junior hockey, but I don't know it that like very like huge. Streetsville. Oh my god. Anyways, I'll look that up in a second. But no, they used to have a Hamilton used to have an NHL team back in the 19 tens. Yeah, they used to have an NHL team called the Hamilton Tigers. Back competed in National Hockey League from 1920 to 1925. Okay. Okay. Well, yeah, no, they used to be a the Tigers were formed by the still of the Quebec Bulldogs. So the Quebec Bulldogs were also a very old team. We're talking like these are old. Like these are over 100 years old at this point. Like way over 100 years old. Uh, Springfield Tigers. Oh, okay, yeah. Now see, you could have now they could have done that. Like as the Hamilton Tigers and have like the black and yellow, like the black and gold jerseys. But obviously, like the Islanders, this is the Islanders we're talking about. They're very almost like the New York Yankees and how they're very professional when it comes to their players and teams. They want everything matching, and they don't like you wearing facial hair, and they also don't like you wearing high numbers. Actually, I don't know if that might have changed because Rue was not there anymore. But no, that Streets Road Tigers logo. I love that. What's their jersey? Looks like because I know I have a feeling what their jersey might look like. I honestly hope it's in there. It's a nice, like a really nice jersey. Okay. I mean, the orange and black looks nice, but oh, oh, that's medicine, not tigers. Okay, no, never mind. Okay, so pretty much whatever team. If you're calling them tigers, they probably use like the same color scheme in the orange and black. Like, it seems like they use the same color scheme. Look it up. The Streetsville Tigers uses orange and black. There's the Medicine Hat Tigers. They use orange and black. There's actually a team called Tampa Tigers. They use orange and black. Like any Tigers team is orange and black. Now, Aurelia does have a hockey team. Like up here, we do have a hockey team up here in Aurelia. Haven't I would like to go to a game like next year. Like if I get a chance, I will be going go to a few games. Um, they also have lacrosse. They also have a lacrosse team. Junior B, isn't it? Yes, yes. It's a the Aurelia Terriers. It is a Junior B club. Actually, Aurelia Terriers is, I believe, actually. Come on now. I think actually Aurelia Terriers are a Junior C. Yeah, I believe they're Junior C. Yeah, Aurelia Terriers Junior C. Yeah, they're a Junior C team. Which, okay, you'll notice a little bit more than me, Jack. What exactly is Junior C? Oh, here we go. Princeton Junior Hockey League is a Junior C hockey league that was formed in 2016 when the 8 Junior C leagues in the Ontario Hockey Association merged. Jesus, great. Okay. Jesus, what was formed junior hockey? Still great hockey. Honestly, any hockey is great hockey. Uh, really better. Basically double O. Yeah, I know what double A is. Yeah, ugh. Yeah, I know what that is. I know what that is, and that can be that that can be pretty much like can be death sentence. Well, not death sentence, but it can be very hard to try and even go up even higher when it comes to hockey. It was just like high school. A lot of times it was hard to message retracted. Hmm. It just like kind of like high school, or if you played high school hockey back in the time, not anymore because in well where I'm from, Halton, like Milton, you're now allowed rep pers in high school hockey. Back then, you weren't allowed any rep pers in Halton. The only time you were was when the teacher strike happened. Jack will know this. He knows it. When that strike happened, they pretty much had the players allowed to play rep hockey, and then once like hockey came back, like all the extracurricular activities came back, you were allowed to come back on the team and still play. But that was only like a 1 year thing. Now you can play rep hockey and high school hockey. It- They do that now because a lot of the teams are going to a lot of the teams would go into like tournaments and other places, and they would have a tough time facing teams, especially when most of the team is reppers. Like I went on a trip to Ottawa with the MD. That might be on like my end mostly. I don't know why it is redacting. Just give me a second here as I see if I can maybe actually you know what I might do. Um. Oh no, it's me misclicking. Oh okay. Um. Yeah, no, it should have always been like that. Every time. Okay. No. Like I went on a trip to when I went to a trip to Ottawa and with the team, and we the coaches were like, we want to face the toughest competition. Um. Yeah. The biggest problem with that was I even knew this myself because I watched a. At that time, I was still watching a lot of the CHL because it was on Sportsnet a lot, and you would watch. We faced two teams from Quebec and one from Ottawa, and I always have this kind of like tier thing. So WHL is great with some skill. OHL was a mix of both the WHL with some grit, not so much anymore because you can't fight as much. In WHL, you can still fight. That's where they built a lot of the grittier players, except recently with Gavin McKenna and oh damn it, what's his name? Gavin McKenna and Macklin Celebrini and Connor Bedard. Like all those guys came from WHL. Yes, Macklin so yes, McKenna went to college for the 1 year, but he was before that he was WHL and he tore that league apart. OHL was a mix of both WHL. It's still a mix of WHL and QMJHL, and the QMJHL was skill, a lot of skill. That's what we ran into when we went to that trip to Ottawa. Was a lot of skill. I think that whole tournament. So we played 3 games that tournament. If I remember correctly, we scored 2 or 3 goals that tournament, and one of them was a fluke. So like, I guess our guy dumped it, and it like the goalie was in net, but he pretty much shot from the red line and it went in. It was a 2 day like tournament, and it wasn't a fun like hockey tournament per se, like watching the hockey, but it any time you get away from Melton at that time was nice for a few days. But traveling on a so we were on a travel bus, and traveling that far on a travel bus, so it was like an 8-hour drive. Traveling that far honestly wasn't fun. Like you're on a bus for pretty much 8 hours. Yes, I think we did stop like 1 or 2 times, but it was a long drive. I don't think I would ever do that again. Um, so back to baseball. It, the Jays obviously aren't going to make the playoffs. Like, there's too many teams above them. They need to go on like a Boston one right now, where Boston Red Sox have won 14 straight games. Um, I still have the Dodgers as my favorite. I think everybody has the Dodgers as their favorite team to win it. They're that team. I think that the Dodgers are. The Dodgers are the team that's really going to be basically. Um, yeah, no, the Dodgers are repeating. I think the Dodgers are. They've shut down Otani from pitching. They don't really need him pitching right now. They they have enough. Like they have enough pitching. They have enough hitting. They have everything. But they're the team that's causing the lockout that's going to happen. The one thing I agree with when it comes to the lockout, that's going to happen. It's deferred salaries. And that's what the Dodgers have. They have about They have over $1 billion in deferred salary, which is not right. You can have all that money, but it should be paid up front. Deferring salaries for until after you're retired and that's when you get paid, that's one thing they want to get rid of. And that's what they got rid of in the NHL. They got rid of deferred salaries in the NHL. Now, of course, you can't fully get rid of the deferred salaries, especially when you've already signed the deal. Because it has to be grandfathered in. So all the deferred salary deals that have already been signed would have to be grandfathered in. But after the new CBA, which we don't know, nobody knows when the new CBA is going to be agreed upon. It's going to be a long, long, long negotiating period. The last time that baseball went on strike, the government had to step in, and even then, it still took a long time until they got back to not back to baseball, but a new CBA, kind of like the one we have now. The owners wanted a salary cap, and the players said, "No, we're going on strike." And then the owners were like, "No, we're going on strike as well," which ruined baseball to the point where it took a while for fans to come back to baseball. And once it started coming back to baseball, then players started getting way overpaid. Like I'll always say this. Like Shohei Ohtani deserved that money because he was both pitching and hitting. It just baffles me that he is not the highest paid player in baseball. That's Juan Soto. Juan Soto is a horrible outfielder, good hitter, like a great hitter. He's a great hitter. Horrible outfielder. He does not deserve $800 million. He doesn't. He doesn't deserve $8 million. Oh, the Mets are still shit. The Mets are still shit, and Bo Bichette's going to be leaving. Bo Bichette signed a 3-year deal. But after this year, he has opt-outs. He can opt out of his deal after this year. And apparently there's also rumors that he might actually still be traded. The Mets are a mess. There's too many egos in that room. There's way too many egos in that room. And because of that, they're a shit team. They are a shit team. You you can't spend so much money on players that have egos and not expect those egos to crash. And it has. It is it's bad. It's been bad for the Mets. It's been bad for the Mets for a very long time. Like longer than the Jays. Way longer than the Jays. Like a lot of people were predicting that the Mets would compete with the Dodgers. Not even close. Not even close. Will never be close. They will never be close because they have too many egos in the room. The Dodgers, the Dodgers have high-paid players, but there's no egos in that room. There's no egos in that room because they they are like not a family, but they know how to get along, and a lot of them have been together for a long time. They're there to win. That's why they took deferred contracts. They're there to win, and because of them taking deferred contracts, that's how they get better. MLB wants to get rid of that, and I agree with that. There should not be deferred contracts. Now the Mets don't believe that. They believe that all their players should get paid out up front, which I agree with that. But the guys that they paid, the egos are crashing. Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto, two highest, two of the highest paid players on the Mets, egos are crashing. Like Francisco Lindor, when he signed with the Mets, they signed Francisco Lindor and they signed Juan Soto, and they already had the star in Pete Alonso. But they let him go because they signed Juan Soto to way too much money. Way too much. He is he's an outfielder that is horrible as an outfielder. Like statistically, he is a horrible outfielder. He's getting paid. His total contract's $800 million. This year, he's hitting 287. Okay, so for you to be getting paid so much, you should be 300, way above 300 hitter. But he's not. He's hitting 287. There's a lot of guys in baseball that are getting paid less to hit above 280, to hit 287. 21 homers, 52 RBIs. That's not numbers for any in 83 hits. That's not numbers for a guy that's getting paid so much money. Like tonight against Milwaukee, the Mets won 4-0. He was over. He was over 4. I mean, he is 27. Let's not forget. Let's also not forget that he's played this next year will be his 10th year in baseball. He started when he was 18. The Mets are 43 and 59. So Bo Bichette, who was originally a shortstop, right? He was a shortstop. Played second base, which is where I would have always had him if I were to ever move him. He's a second baseman. The Mets go, nope, we're going to place you at a position that you have never played before, third base. Bo Bichette has never had that great of an arm. Never. You can see it. If you've watched the Blue Jays, he's never had that great of an arm. So why is he playing third? Because the Mets have never had never had a good third baseman since David Wright. Never have. David Wright is also like you're filling shoes that are too big to fill. Too big to fill. Too big to fill, and it's like here. I'll pull up Bo Bichette's contract. I'll pull it up because there's noise out there that Bo Bichette's going to get traded. If Bo Bichette could get traded, will he get traded? No. Could he possibly just leave the Mets after this year? Possibly. Possibly. Because he's coming home. He could. He could come home. I probably would not want to trade for him. I would like to hear if he opts out of the contract. Now, would you opt out of a contract that you're going to get paid next year $42 million? Would you opt out of that? Would you opt out of that deal? $42 million to play mediocre baseball. Because he can opt out. He can leave the Mets. And if you've seen his face, if you've seen his expressions, have you seen his expressions in the highlights with the Mets? No, I wouldn't leave for $42 million. But have you seen him? He's sad as hell. It's almost like there's no soul there. The soul is gone. And he feels like he might have made a mistake. There is a full no trade clause. I just read that now. There's no full trade clause. Player opt out available after this year and next year. There's a $5 million buyout available with each option to be deferred at $1 million each, July 1st, 2036 to 2040. Again with the deferred. I wouldn't read for that money, but if you're not happy, well, if you're not happy where you are as an athlete nowadays, you would explore it. You would think about it. If you had the choice, you would think about it. If it wasn't the money, you would think about it. You would think maybe I might leave for somewhere better, a better place, a place that doesn't have egos. That's what the Mets have. The Mets have had that for a long time. Too many egos. Like the Mets are looking at trading a lot of guys, except two: Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto. Those are the two guys that aren't going to get traded because of how big their contracts are. Bo Bichette isn't a big contract. He's got 120 hits this year. But he's not a third baseman. He isn't. He's a second baseman. I think there's a chance that he comes back home. He comes back to Toronto. I would love to see him come back to Toronto. I would love that. I would love him to play over Andres Jimenez. I'm not paying Andres Jimenez $23 million next year. I'm not. It might be. It might be part of the issue with Vlad. It might be. But it almost sounds. It sounds like to me that Bo went for the money and it's disappointed him. It was almost like, so back in 93, the Toronto Blue Jays made a trade with the Mets or whatever team it was. So so back in 1991. Actually, yeah, it was 91. The Jays made a trade with the Padres, and the Jays traded Tony Fernandez. Now, the Jays did get Roberto Alomar and Joe Carter out of that deal, but they traded Tony Fernandez. Fernandez then went on to the Mets, but he wasn't happy when he went to the Mets. And then the general manager, Pat Gillick, went there and said he doesn't look like he's happy to be with the Mets. And then he made the trade. He came back to Toronto in 93, and he looked like he was himself again. He was happy. He was happy to be back in Toronto. He was really happy, and he played great. I think that's what might happen here. It won't be a trade. I think he might opt out. And a lot of GMs around the league think he might opt out as well. Anyways, it's almost midnight. I'm gonna get off. It was nice. It was nice just to get some stuff off my chest. I think I'll do a video tomorrow. By the way, just me seeing the quality of the video now. I have a new webcam on top of the laptop. It is honestly so much better than what it was. I'm gonna head off now, get some sleep, wake up tomorrow. Got a couple things I need to do. Probably make a video tomorrow. This was actually like the video I wanted to make today, but just doing it a live stream was probably a better idea. Anyways, it's good seeing whoever tuned into the stream. And we'll see you soon. I think I'm gonna be doing this a lot. I think I have a schedule. Oh yeah, yep. You'll see me tomorrow, Jack. You'll see me tomorrow. Um, but for anybody else that did tune in, I think there was another person that tuned in. Not too sure who it was, but we'll see. I probably do have a schedule now. I might have a couple of guests. They won't. We won't be talking sports, but we'll see what happens next week. Obviously, I'll probably have a video out before then. I do have time. I do have a bit of time between now and next week to put out a video. But we'll see. We'll see you next time.